What is up, everyone? I'm just jamming to that intro. What is up on this wonderful Sunday evening? We're going to get into the Bills projection for the 53-man roster, which are due this year. The NFL changed things up a little bit. In the past few years, they used to have like 3 cut dates. They'd have you go from 90 players down to 85, 85 to 80, and then 80 to 53. This year, it's all one date. It's August 29th. The NFL teams have to go from their roster 90 down to 53. Don't get me wrong, they can release people all along the way. So they're not going to wait to the very end. They will be releasing players earlier than that, but that is their deadline. So we're going to get into it. I mean, this is the time of year. Training camp is right around the corner. We got the rookies. Jake and I were just looking that up. We got the rookies showing up on the 18th, which is 2 more days. And then we got the vets coming in on the 25th. And I think at John Fisher University, it's open to the public on the 26th. So good stuff there. Joining me, as always, Mr. Jake Podger from Nickel City Mafia. And then over from the Red, White, and Bills, nobody cooler than Sean Kula. How you guys doing? Jake, how you doing on this Sunday, man?
I'm great, Mike. How you doing today? I'll tell you what, so excited to talk Bills football. We're getting closer and closer now. 10 days away from open practices for fans. We're 2 days away from rookies reporting. I mean, I can only imagine what those rookies are going through nerves-wise. It's got to be something no one can really imagine until it actually happens to them. But just an exciting time of the year. This is the last month without college football, last month without NFL football. How about that?
It's exciting. It's exciting because it's getting hard to figure out content to do. But the 53-man roster, I think every channel does it. It's a fun thing to do. It's kind of fun to see if you got it right. We're fortunate. The Buffalo Bills have a very talented squad, so most of these are pretty easy to project. There's definitely some camp battles that are going to be happening, and we'll point those out. But also joining us, Mr. Sean Kula. Sean, how you doing, man?
Doing good. And yeah, it's exciting that football is coming back, but it's also going to be stressful, and blood pressures are going to start taking your medication now, because our blood pressures are going to be hitting the 200s probably by the time the season comes around. But there's nothing better. Nothing like getting some pizza and wings for a game, chilling, hopefully winning the game, and then you're having a good week. But
yeah, for sure.
Excited to get the rookies in, and there's a couple of them we really have to, put all of our eggs in one basket on. So hopefully they can elevate us a little bit, even as a rookie.
Yeah, maybe it's not so stressful this year, Sean. Maybe not. I
That'd
mean,
be nice.
I follow this guy. He's going to actually join us on the 26th of this month. He's from Ireland, and he calls himself the Irish Mafia, Bills Mafia. And he's just a new YouTuber, but we're going to bring him on and talk, but to see, how did you get interested? But his show, on his last one, he predicted the Bills go 16-1. 16-1. So let's go, Sean. I mean, if it's 16-1, you're feeling good.
But we got to win the Super Bowl if we go 16-1. We can't go 16-1 and then even lose the AFC Championship. We got to at least get to the Super Bowl, because then it's wasted.
I know. Even on his follow-up show, because people had put some comments out there, I was one of them. I'm like, I love it. I hope we can be 16-1. Awesome. But he stood his ground. He says, I truly believe 16-1. This team is that good.
Well, if you keep putting it into the universe, it'll come right back to you.
I know. Let's go 16-1. 16-1.
Hell yeah.
All right, gentlemen, let's get into it. If you're new to our channels, Nickel City Mafia, Red, White, and Bills, by the way, we are streaming live there as well. And we're hoping that our good friend Brett McDurphy from the Go Bills podcast joins us a little bit later. Anyhow, make sure you like, comment, and smash that subscribe button for all of us. We greatly appreciate it. So let's get into it, gentlemen. Let's start with some easy ones that we can just save some time and get right on through. Quarterback, right? Quarterback, Josh Allen, the Allen brothers, Josh Allen, Kyle Allen, and it's pretty good. Matt Barkley will definitely be on the practice squad. So you all agree? Can we move past that one?
Yeah, I just want to bring up attention to one thing. So
right.
the NFL just passed a rule for this upcoming season that now teams are allowed to have an emergency quarterback that does not count for an active roster spot on game day. So they can technically have like Matt Barkley active as an emergency quarterback, say if, God forbid, Josh Allen or Kyle Allen go down with injury.
I know it's an easy thing, but I'm going to make it just a difficult, just to have fun. Do we even really think Kyle Allen's better than Matt Barkley? I mean, they're both not that good, but we're kind of just throwing Matt
More
Barkley.
athletic.
He's going to be the third string guy. Like maybe he'll surprise people and get that backup job.
I love Matt Barkley.
I don't like Kyle Allen at all.
He understands the system. He's worked with Ken Dorsey for a while. He's a veteran player. Actually, every time he's really played for the Bills, he's done a decent job, at least handling the ship, you know? So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't write it past him, you know? But
That'd be
also,
a good battle. That'd be a good.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not something to overlook by any means. But I do think ultimately with Josh's pull, obviously bringing Kyle Allen in, I think it's probably going to be a dead set 1 and 2 there.
I think we got to have Josh stop making decisions like, oh, let's bring Ken Dorsey, let's bring Kyle Allen. Like, don't let him choose anything for a while.
And that's more and more common in the league now. You have these players that are like these big name players, and I think that's probably why Steph Diggs, of course, that attributes to why he was probably a little upset. I don't want to talk too much about that, but here's where you can maybe see why, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like that new rule to have the 3 quarterbacks on game day, which is nice. All right, well, let's go to another easy one, which should be easy. Even the quarterbacks took a little longer than you would think with us, right?
Purposely, yeah.
But let's get over to the special teams, and this is your favorite thing, Jake. And and I'm just talking, when I say special teams, I'm talking field goal kicker, punter, and long snapper. And obviously that's Tyler Bass. That's Sam. What do you call it? Slippery
Sam Martin.
Sam Martin. And then Reed
Let's
Ferguson.
make shirts.
Yeah, jump on it before someone else does.
I think we got to do it, man. I'll split the profits with him too.
Yeah,
Sam.
Reach out to him.
He'd appreciate that, I think.
He probably would answer
one.
too.
Lock it in. No discussion there. I mean, let's go to let's get into the running backs here. Let's get into one that might be up for discussion. I'm going to throw it to Jake to start us off on this one, and then I'll have Sean take care of the wide receiver position group. But Jake, who do you see? How many do you see the Bills keeping? That's going to be for each position group. How many are they keeping? And who are those players that you think will make that final roster?
So, yeah, previous years we've kept 4 running backs. But the only thing with that is we've had a running back that essentially is just a special teamer in Tywan Jones. In this case, we now have James Cook, Damian Harris, who are both competing for a significant amount of playing time. James Cook is going to be the guy, in my opinion. And then you have Nyheim Hines, who's kind of like in a weird position where he's a return man more so, but he should be more involved in the offense. Not really sure where they're gonna place him. You know, he's definitely gonna be returning kicks, definitely gonna be returning punts probably too. But then you have Latavius Murray, who the Bills go out and get, and man, he had a pretty good year last season. Like, he's not a bad back. He's 33 years old, sure, but he can still get it done. I feel like with what the Bills' mentality has been, they would rather have someone like Tywan Jones to keep as that 4th running back rather than a Latavius Murray. And unfortunately, because of that, my heart wants it to happen where we keep him. I'm not even sure what the rules are with practice squad with him. I think he could still go to the practice squad. I don't know what the rules and regulations are on that. Like how many?
You have to cut him, and then he has to pass.
He has to pass waivers, and then you can sign him to the practice squad.
Yeah.
And then after that, of course, he could be poached by other teams. But with him, he's much better than that. I think he still offers a little bit of starting value in this league. So I expect the team to probably pick him up. So he won't be gone for long. And in my opinion, I do think the Bills keep 3. I did mention, too, that there's another rookie out of Fresno State, and I don't want anyone to sleep on this young man, Jordan Mims. Okay, last year we had Raheem Blackshear. This year, Jordan Mims. Really, I like the kid, Fresno State kid, like I said. Mike, you're not going to totally love the height and weight, 5'10", 205, pretty standard size for a running back there. Nothing too crazy, right? But I think he's going to shine some light on his skill set this offseason, or this preseason, I should say. And excited to see what he can bring to the table. I don't think he's going to have a chance in hell of making the roster, but for other teams, it'll be a really good audition tape. So keep an eye on him.
I like it. Every year, last year, you predicted Blackshear, and you hit that right on the head. So How many did you say? 4 running backs?
So no, we're going to keep 3. I don't think we keep
What
Jordan.
about Reggie Gilliam? Aren't you counting him as a running back?
He's a fullback. All right, fullbacks are a little bit different.
We're
They do
counting
consider
we're
they put it
counting
in the
them
same.
into this position
Well,
group.
if we're going to factor that in, then yes, we are going to keep Reggie Gilliam. I know a lot of people are saying he's going to be a surprise cut. I just think, going back to the special teams value, he is a special teams guy as well. He does everything. And anytime he's been on the field, I feel like something positive happens. And the Bills notice that. There's a reason why he's been on the roster for so many years as it is. A lot of teams don't even keep a fullback on the roster anymore. It's uncommon. I think half the league doesn't. They're pretty non-existent. Yeah. So, in my opinion, I think we're going to keep Sledge. And can't wait to wear his jersey at the home opener.
All right. I'll throw it to you in a second, Sean.
Sure.
Last year, the Bills did keep 5, Jake, but you have to count Reggie Gilliam and Tywan Jones, who was a special teamer. So there's 5 running backs. I do think, and Tywan's no longer with the Bills, obviously. He's looking for work right now. But I do think they keep 5. I think they keep 5. I think Cook, Harris, Murray, Hines, and Gilliam make the squad. So I think they stick with what they did last year, and I think with the opening of Taiwan, you can fit Murray in there. But let me throw it to you, Sean, for your thoughts.
I 100% agree, and if somebody sees Tywan Jones, let them know that I am hiring for my business, so I could use extra hardworking hands if he's done with football. But I agree with you, Mike. I think they'll take 5 again this year because they're replacing Tywan Jones, and they'll be able to use that to keep like a Murray, and Hines could be that special teams type guy, and then Murray's a third back, and then a lot of people are pegging Cook as the running back 1 already. I really think he may, fan wise, people think he's running back 1 right now, but I think really Harris has the pedigree to do that right now. And yeah, he's got a little bit of injury history, but as far as what he's done and what Cook's done, I think you gotta at least, unless Cook comes out and really destroys him in camp, I think Harris has to start. He's powerful, fast. Cook is good, but let's not forget, people bring up, Rodgers was a back-to-back MVP 2 years ago. Well, Harris 2 years ago had 15 touchdowns, so let's not forget that part. So I think
call a spade a spade.
Yeah, I think we'll be in good hands with both of them. Cook did pick up near the bottom half of the back half of the year, so that just goes to prove what I always say, Mike and Jake: get these young guys reps. Don't put Shakir on the bench the whole year. Don't bench Elam the whole time. Make sure they're getting don't put Bates over Torrance this year. I don't care if he doesn't know the playbook 100%. They only learn if they get out there and take lumps. And yeah, it might stink in the beginning of the year, but putting them on the shelf for a little bit and then hoping that they're good in year 2, then they have a second rookie year basically. So, but yeah, I think running back room we're pretty good. I say we'll keep 5, including Gilliam, and then who knows? Maybe we'll work in Hines and Murray a little bit, and if not, there'll be a good third, and then Hines is a return specialist. I think we'll be pretty set with that.
I hope it happens. I really do hope it happens that way.
I got a feeling.
Yeah, I agree. So let's go to wide receivers. And I said I'd throw it to you, Sean, first. So last year, let me just stipulate this. Last year, if you look at the initial 53-man roster, it had 7 wide receivers. And that was because Marcus Stevenson was on there. And the Bills hadn't signed Sam Martin. They had just released, who was the punk guy that we let go last year? What was his name? Matt Araiza. We just released Matt Araiza. So they kind of tricked the system a little bit, but they were able to slide in 7. Once Sam Martin was signed, quickly you saw that Marcus Stevenson went to the IR, and he was pretty much on IR all season long. And then he was released later in the year and signed to the practice squad. So they had 7 last year, but quickly went to 6. So Sean, let me throw it to you. How many do you see them having, and who are those players?
Well, I'm looking at the list right now, and there's a ton of guys that I never even heard of. And I know it's because I've been busy, working all day and night. I haven't really done a lot of research like I should be. But the locks, of course, are Diggs, Shakir, Davis, Sherfield, Hardy, and Justin Shorter is going to round it off at 6. I always said bring in 7 because they always had we only would have suited up 5 for the game day, and then 1 or 2 would get hurt, and then we're screwed with 3 or 4 receivers the rest of the game. So I say it'd be nice to bring 7. Again, personally, I don't know much of these people like Brian Thompson, Tyrell Shavers, Jalen Wayne, Marcel Aitman. I don't really know these people. So I guess once camp comes around, I'll get a better look at them, and maybe I'll watch some tape on them ahead of time. But maybe one of those guys can get a 7 spot, and then it'd be nice. It's just smart because look how many times I complained last year. We only have 6. We put Hodgins on the practice squad, and then now he's gone, and then now Kumrose gets hurt during the game. Crowder gets hurt. The Miami game we had 3 receivers because Kumro broke his ankle, and then McKenzie got a concussion or whatever it was, and then it's just Diggs, Davis, and Crowder got hurt too. So
yeah,
McKenzie, and he was playing hurt. So I think keep 7, but those 6 are the locks, and it'd be nice to see Shakir and Davis step up a lot. And I know Davis had a lot of yards last year, but he just wasn't someone we could rely on when Diggs was getting the heat. And Shakir didn't get a lot of opportunity last year. When he did get opportunity, he performed really well. So that just goes to my point. I always say get these young guys playing time, and they prove themselves in playing time. It's different than practice. I mean, we didn't play in the pro level, Jake, but it's a completely different playing in practice and then suiting up for a game and going to war. So they can practice hard all they want, and then if they don't get the proper opportunity, nothing's really going to change. But I mean, Sherfield's a speedster, and as much as I didn't really like the Hardy and Sherfield signing in the beginning, if they could be a solid 3 and 4 and take some heat away and get some yak for us, I guess that's why we brought them in. And then Justin Shorter's the guy that's going to be like, he'll probably go in if something bad happens, someone gets hurt or near the end of a game, because I think he's not as refined as the rest of them. And he was getting better in college every year, but I think he's still not a finished product yet, which is also pretty good still because he was a pretty awesome receiver in college. But a little bit more refining done, and then, I mean, wow, you can't argue that frame and that height,
Yeah. Yeah, I like your idea, Sean, of 7 receivers, and I have one in mind if they were able to fit him in, and that's Tyrell Shavers. I don't know if you know much about him, Jake,
Bingo.
but that boy, 6'6", 210 pounds out of San Diego State. He played a couple years with Alabama. He was actually in the 2018 national championship game. He went to Mississippi. Was it Mississippi State? I think it was
San Diego State.
Couple years ago. No, he in between.
Mississippi State in between.
Yeah, he went to Mississippi State. Then he went to San Diego State. And he's not only 6'6", 210, very good receiver. He runs around 4.5, but great special teams player. He had 3 blocks in his college career, 3 punt blocks. At least one of them returned for a touchdown. I think there was a second one as well. So great special teams guy. I mean, think Jake Kumaro with much more upside. Okay. By the way, where did Jake Kumaro go? I was thinking, did Aaron Rodgers have them sign him? Where did Kumaro go?
He signed with the Giants.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Dable.
Well, of course he did.
Classic.
Dable.
You had me at 6'6", Mike. So I don't know much about this guy, but he's 6'6", so I'll take him.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, I was researching all the guys. Like you said, there's a lot of guys. You're like, who the heck are these people?
Actually, guys, I stand corrected. He did not sign with the Giants. I don't know why I thought he did.
It's a good assumption.
Free agent.
Though.
He's a free agent.
I wonder why. And he was like he was in the game a lot for us. So,
well,
that just showed how in shambles our receiving room was last year.
Yeah, and Rodgers loves him, so I'm surprised he hasn't talked to Jets into sign him. I bet they do. If I had
they probably will.
But Jake, let me throw it to you on the wide receiver group. I mean, 6 is kind of what they went with last year. If they did fit in the 7th, I'm not sure. I mean, does that mean they?
There's so much
it'd
side.
It'd be tough to find that in, find someone to release to get him in. So, what's your thoughts?
Oh yeah, and I agree with Sean 6, but there's so much size on the back half of this. Like you talked about Tyrell Shavers. You have Marcel Aitman, who the Bills actually made a purpose to go out and sign, and they released a guy in order to sign him, former XFL player. With the St. Louis Battlehawks, and he's had some time in the league already as it is. Another big body guy, 6'4", 216. And then you have another kid. You have Tyrell Shavers. You have Desmond Patton, who's been with the Bills, I think the last 3 preseasons, I want to say it's been. Another big body guy, 6'4". And then you talk about Reggie Wayne's nephew, Jalen Wayne, on the roster. He's 6'2" himself, 6'1", 6'2". A lot of big body guys on the back half here. And, I don't think you should sleep on any of them because obviously this is a tough receiver room to crack, which is insane to say because I feel like we don't necessarily think that it's like the strongest room in the world. But when it comes down to it, the starters are pretty pretty clear to me. I think it's definitely going to be Steph. It's going to be Gabe, and then it's going to be Trent Sherfield rotating probably with Deontay Hardy at the slot position there. I think when you look at this back half, I think 7's certainly a possibility just because of what Sean was saying, how the receiver position, especially for the Bills, we've been very, very maimed at that position over the last few seasons as well. So keeping 7 might not be a bad option, and to keep a bigger guy that's like 6'4" frame. I love the Tyrell Shivers idea, Mike. I think that's a brilliant idea. And in my opinion, I think it's either him or Marcel Aitman who has the best chance at being that number 7 guy.
Well, at least if you don't keep 7, suit up 6 every game, don't suit up 5, and then leave a wide receiver inactive, and then you're
exactly.
At least do that. And
right,
Jake, you mentioned how it's pretty clear who the 6 are. It is clear, but at the same time, 5 of the 6 have a lot to prove. So it's like
for sure
they could be really, really good, or another disappointing like last year. So it's like I'm gonna try to put it into the world. I've been negative about them, but I think they all got something they could bring, and if they are what everyone thinks they're going to be, then I think it's going to be a pretty decent under. Like, you look at them and you're like, oh, they're not that good, and then we'll be up there with some of the best. So just got to hope for the best.
Hey, Ethan, nice to see you join us out there. No, we're just about to get to the tight ends very shortly, so stick around and you'll hear us talking about that in just a couple minutes. I mean, to close out the wide receiver group, I think obviously, Jake, most of the guys you mentioned easily can make it to the practice squad without getting signed by another team, right? That's just my thought. If they do get 7, I like Tyrell, but like you said, there's a couple other guys too that could squeeze in there. But I mean, it's hard to release somebody else. Like, what other position group, what other guy? And it's so hard. So I can easily just see them sign them on practice squad, and I think we'd be fine with that. I don't see Tyrell Shavers getting picked up. Remember, if somebody takes him, I think they have to sign him to a deal, at least when they poach him from your practice squad. And when they sign him off waivers, I'm not so sure they have to do it at that point in time. But if they take him off your practice squad, they must give him put him on the 53-man roster. But I think that's different. And before he, when he goes through waivers, I think that's a little different. But anyhow, love the idea, Sean. Good stuff. We got it. I think we all agree at 6, maybe a 7th. And Jake, you had something to say?
Yeah, I just want to bring this up what Brett's saying here. He said there's a promising guy in Malachi Weidman who was actually not picked in the supplemental draft, which I think a lot of people were expecting him to be. A kid out of Jackson State. I know Deion Sanders was extremely high on him, played for Deion this past year. I know he's scheduling some workouts with teams, Brett, so maybe the Bills are one of those teams, but another big body guy, 6'5", 215. Are you kidding me, Mike? Like, let's just keep adding the size. Why not? But best bet, I still think Tyrell Shavers. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, love it. All right, well, let's move on. And Brett, looks like he got stranded. His vehicle broke down on waiting for roadside assistance.
Poor guy can't catch a break, man.
Sorry to hear that, buddy. He's been working his butt off and was trying to get home for the show. Hey, it works on your phone. Join us on the show. Join us.
Yeah, there you go while you're waiting.
While you're waiting. All right, well, let's move on to the tight end position group, and let me throw it to you, Jake, to start us off on there.
Yeah, well, let's start talking about Dalton Kincaid a little bit, shall we? Because what an exciting player that the Bills go ahead and draft in the first round, something that no one expected. And let me tell you something, there's a reason why we took him where we did. The Bills felt that he was the most valuable player on the board, and I know Sean is going to hate this because he was not thrilled with the pick. I, too, was slightly confused just because I wasn't expecting it, but now I've come to my senses about it, and I feel pretty good about it. Now, listen, you got to utilize the man properly, and I think there is a plan in place for that. I don't think you draft a guy in the first round. I know the Bills are the Bills, right, and they don't like to use their rookies, but this is a first-round tight end. The Bills haven't done this since, I think, 1978. Might have to check me out. 1979, I want to say. Reuben Gant, I think it was. It was a long time ago. Yeah, that's a good name for it, Reuben Gant.
Yeah.
So it's been a minute since we've taken a tight end in the first round, and I have a lot of faith in this young man. I think he's going to be a really good addition. He could play in the slot. You could put him out wide. He's got a big catch radius. Guy doesn't drop anything you throw to him, and I know it's just college, but he has the speed and the game speed to get separation in the NFL. And the way he moves in space is just artistic. Honestly, it's amazing to watch. If you ever had a chance just to watch some tape on him, it does remind me a bit of Travis Kelce. I'm not going to say he's Travis Kelce 2.0, but I think there are signs there, and I'm
you wouldn't
very
be the only one
about
that said that, so you can say it if you want.
But yeah, no, I'm thrilled about it. You know, one of the biggest things coming into the offseason was to get Josh Allen more help, more weapons, and we did both of those things. So this is a fantastic pick. He's going to have a ton of involvement in the offense. I expect to see him on the field at least 75 to 80% of the time. I think the Bills don't necessarily run two, double tight end sets where both tight ends are putting their hand in the ground. I think most of the time you're going to see both of these guys, featured in the slot, or one of them with the hand in the ground and the other not. I actually said Dalton Kincaid may never put his hand in the ground because he's not your traditional blocking tight end or anything like that. And that was one of the nabs on him coming into the draft process. But what he can do for you as a receiver is just so damn impressive. So I'm excited about it. I think we keep 3 tight ends. It's going to be Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid, and Quentin Morris.
Nice. And I know you and Sean have gone back and forth a little bit as far as like how many expected targets do you think Kincaid will get?
Yeah.
And I mean, the numbers you were throwing out there, Jake, is a little disappointing. I mean, you were saying 60 targets at best, and I'm thinking, well, we know that Isaiah McKenzie had 60 plus last year. He's got to at least get Isaiah's, and then he's got to soak up some others. And if we're not getting him 70 to 80 targets in his rookie year, it's a disappointment. But the Bills just don't use their tight ends. So, Sean, I mean, help us out here, man. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, the main reason I was upset about the pick was because, yeah, he's a weapon, but we ignored, again, the offensive line. And we couldn't assume that Torrance was going to be there and where he was. So that's why I was really angry because, again, we ignored the biggest part of football besides a quarterback is protection. Weapons are good, but, I mean, even look at Joe Burrow in that Super Bowl. He has the best receiving core in the NFL, and then his offensive line was jacked up, and then it came down to a missed block and a sack, and you lost the game. So, yeah, Kincaid, he's got, when you look at people's articles that talk about him, they're already saying he's an elite player, and it's like he hasn't even played one snap yet. He can be awful when he gets to the game because, like you said, Jake, it's college quarterbacks passing him the ball. Josh Allen's going to be throwing 115-mile-an-hour fastballs at him in the cold. Is he going to catch all those? So that's what, there's a lot of uncertainty with him, and he's a great guy. I've seen his profile and things he does, and I really, really like him as a person. But unfortunately, unfairly to him, me and a lot of other people are going to have super high expectation for him because of where he was drafted. Because people rag on Eddie Oliver. He was the 9th overall pick, and he only gets 5 sacks. They don't look at everything else that he did. Somebody wrote an article about comparing Ed Oliver to the rest of the D tackles. I forgot who wrote it, but there was a lot of, besides sacks, he was top 5 in pressures for D tackles, top 5 in knocking the quarterback out of the pocket, little things that nobody really pays attention to. And we got him for half the amount that Quentin Williams got signed for. So it's
yeah,
people overlook at Oliver a lot, but people look at your draft position and tight end in the first round. People compare him to Travis Kelce, say he's got elite hands, say he's this. So unfairly to him, I have to have high expectations for him. And if he comes in, gets 20 catches or 30 catches and 2 touchdowns, then I'm going to be so either it was a wrong pick or you just don't know what you're doing. That I say that every offseason is that we don't know how to develop players or the coaches don't know what the heck they're doing because there's so many things where we're just this doesn't make sense. And yeah, we're just fans, but sometimes you can just look at something that for what it is and you're like, it doesn't make sense, and they do play some rookies, but then they don't play others, and then they don't develop properly, or you make Epinesa lose weight, you screw him up for 3 years, and now you don't really know what you have in them, and but I have faith in him. I believe in the kid, but I have super high expectations for him. I'll always like him as a person, but I'm going to be very, very, very hard on him, and then I'm going to be the first one to defend him once he proves to everybody. I don't care if I'm wrong. So if I think we should have picked offensive line, and then I'm ragging on him for a little bit, and then he comes out, and I say, "Well, I believe in the kid. He's a Buffalo Bill. He's part of the family, and we'll see what happens." And then I'll be the first one to be like, "I was wrong." I said Joe Burrow was going to be a bust, so I was like, "He's going to be the biggest bust in history." As soon as he wasn't, I was like, "Well, that was my guess. I was wrong. It happens." I wasn't like trying to. You know what? He still is a bust because he did, this, and that. So I'll be rooting for the kid, and then of course Dawson Knox, and then Quentin Morris. Again, I don't know much about these other tight end guys because I haven't done much research in the offseason yet, unfortunately. But I guess it could be up in the air for the third. I mean, did Quentin Morris really do anything to he's a lock for the team, or do you think he could maybe be in a battle himself? That's just my opinion. But Kincaid and Knox for sure, and then I say it's up in the air for 3 for who the third one is.
Mama Podger sporting the
I wanted to share it with you,
jersey.
Sean.
Yes,
she had me order. She's like, I need more Bills. She won the Bills jersey. Okay,
yes,
so
she did.
She gets a Josh Allen jersey, right?
I still owe you $15, so I'll buy your wings when I get there.
Oh no, we're not. No, it's all wash. You're good, brother. You gave me,
Okay.
You got me a ticket to the game. We
All
are
right.
more than even. Trust me.
Sweet.
No. So yeah. Anyways, my mom decided, let me get a Dalton Kincaid jersey, and I said, all right.
Well, that's good.
So I ordered one for her off DH Gate, and it came in, and I still have to give it to her. She doesn't have it right now.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, it was a few weeks. It took a few weeks to come in, but yeah,
I remember
it was
I ordered off there for 3 years ago. It took them 5 months to send me the jerseys, and I was like, the season's almost over.
Yeah, it depends. You got to look at the seller, look at the ratings. I'm not advocating, hey, don't, I'm not saying don't buy it from NFL Shop, but there are other options out there.
Yeah.
So,
but Big Al, you don't have to be sorry. Like I said, I love the kid. He's a Buffalo Bill, but I'm going to treat him like I treat Spencer Brown, except for I already know Kincaid's in a better spot than Spencer Brown is. So they're going to get the same treatment. And then if Spencer Brown comes around this year and is amazing, then I'll be like, well, I was wrong about him. I was right at the time, wrong about him now. I'll eat my words. And then again, he's a Buffalo Bill. So that's what it really comes down.
Can't be mad at it. Yeah, you can't even be mad at it. By the way, I do stand corrected, fellas. I knew I was missing someone in there. Tony Hunter was the last tight end selected by the Bills in the first round. 2 picks before Jim Kelly in 1983. How about that?
My
career
goodness.
cut short due to a leg injury. Totally forgot. That's on me. Hand up.
I feel like he played for the Rams too at some point.
He did.
Tony Hunter.
Yes,
Okay.
he did. He played for the Rams right after. Yep. It was like a 3-year career. Very short career for him.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, we're going to get into O-line here in a little bit. And so, again, just to close out the tight end room, Ethan, I mean, we were live for the draft, all of us. There's 4 of us on live. And we had done so much. We had done so much pre-draft talk, so many shows before. And we had always been saying, get Josh help, get Josh help. And we were focused on that offensive line. And part of the reason was because Spencer Brown is that big question mark on the O-line, and they really didn't do anything to address that. I mean, they kind of did, but I mean, if you consider Shell something, but I don't think so. But anyhow, when they drafted him, so we were a little taken back, but I mean, when you say get Josh Allen help, it didn't have to be O-line. It had to be a weapon. And I think he does. He is a mismatch if they do a lot of 12 personnel, they have him in the slot. I think he becomes a mismatch for a lot of teams. It's just a matter of, are the Bills going to utilize him? So we'll find out. So let's move on to the O-line, the big guys. Sean, I know you love the trenches. So how many are we keeping on the O-line, and who are those players?
Well, they kept 9, I think, last year, if I'm correct.
They did.
And then when you're look at the tackles, of course, you got Dawkins. And then, of course, unfortunately, Spencer Brown's going to be in the starting role right now. And then DQ and Brandon Shell, I think, are going to be the tackles. And then I'd like to see Van Denmark. Van Denmark. So he's been on the team for a couple years. I'd like to see maybe he slip in possibly. But I honestly think Brandon Shell is as much as the guys in the panel the other day weren't too fond of him when he was on their teams. He's already better than Spencer Brown. So again, he might find his way playing. And then when you go to guards, that's where it gets tough because you got Mitch Morse, so that's 5 if they keep 9. So then Torrance, McGovern, Edwards, and then probably gonna have to say bye to Bacher and Doyle. If then they'd keep Bates for his flex at center guard and tackle. So I think it'll be Torrance, McGovern, Edwards, Bates, Morse, Brown, Dawkins, DQ, and Brandon Shell. But again, we're pretty filled up at guard because I like Ike, and I even like Tommy Doyle a lot. Like I said, he won me over with just playing on a torn ACL when we didn't have to even do that. There was nobody left, so I guess he really technically didn't have a choice, but he could have said I got a torn ACL, I can't play. But some people can't even walk when they tear theirs, but he was pushing Christian Wilkins around, and I'm sure it probably made it worse in the long run for his ACL. But that just shows his grit and toughness. So I hate to see him go, but yeah, I think this is the way it's going to go. If they take 9, it'll be that. If they take 10, then it'll be between Ike and Doyle, I believe.
So you think Tommy Doyle is going to be a guard? You really think that's going to happen?
But they have him at guard, but
6'8", man. That's
they have him listed at guard. But when you look at the tackles, they usually keep 4,
right,
and then but they might keep 5 guard, 5 tackle. No, they wouldn't do that because then you only got 3 guards, and then you got one that has to walk split around. So I think they'll do 4, 4, and 1, and then Bates can do center too. So then you got that in your back pocket, and he can play tackle. But I hate to see Doyle go. I hate to see Bacher go. But it's part of the making tough decisions, and I think it's going to be this is where the battles start getting good in the training camp is with the offensive line. Because obviously Dawkins is a lock, and then I guess nobody else really is at tackle. I guess Spencer Brown is seated as a starter right now, but he could easily lose it, or he can, because he doesn't have the injury anymore that people were talking about, and he had a full off season, then maybe he'll surprise everybody, and then he's got to get 2 backups, and then, or maybe they'll only have 3 tackles, and then because Bates can play tackle too, so maybe they'll do 3 tackles, and then 5 guards and 1, and Mitch Morse, which again it'll be interesting to see because like I said, Bates can play tackle if need be. Dawkins has been pretty healthy, and then you got DQ. It'll be between DQ and Shell for the third one for the swing tackle. But I think it'll probably just be 4, 4, and 1. But it's getting tough because we gotta wait till camp right now for me because I want to say that I think Ike and Doyle can earn a spot on this team, but I think as of right now, I think they might be the 2 guys that we might have to part ways with, unfortunately.
So I also have them keeping 9. I have most of the ones you said: Dawkins, McGovern, Morse, Bates, Brown, Torrance. I do think Doyle makes it. Shell makes it. I think there's one spot left, and this is really where the first battle comes into play in my mind. There's 4 guys fighting for that last 9th spot, and that's Richard Garage, undrafted free agent from Florida, Torrance's teammate. He shined in the Senior Bowl, really looked good there. Ike's going to be fighting. He's going to have a chance to fight for a spot. I do think Ike is that guy that could easily go onto the practice squad without getting picked up on waivers just because he's been so dang hurt. So, I'm not so worried. I love Ike, but if he doesn't make the team, I know they'll sign him on the practice squad. So it's a 4-way battle between Garage, Bacher, DQ, David Questenberry, and Edwards. And, of course, I'm always leaning tackle in this situation only because of our Spencer Brown situation. So
you don't have Edwards as a he's got the Super Bowl under his belt, starter. You think he's on the fringe making the team?
I do.
Wow.
I do.
I don't disagree. I'm not angry. I'm just saying
I think he's going to battle it. He's coming in. You know how the Bills love the folks that they've brought along on the team, and that gives Bacher the big edge. But we know he's just been so injured. I see him going to the practice squad. The other 3, like I said, Richard Garage. He's young. He's fresh. Questenberry's a little beat up. I just don't know. That poor guy gave it his all last year. He played when he shouldn't have played in one of the games. He was so.
Oh yeah, he had a broken ankle and like a
horrible.
broken foot, and then McDermott's like, go back out there.
But he's coming up on his 10 years, right, in the league. So he's getting up there in age, and we saw what happened last year. So I think it's a four-way battle. And again, it's Garage, Questenberry, and Edwards. Edwards plays guard, right?
He's a guard.
Yeah. So that's what I have it. Jake, let me throw it to you, man.
I'm so happy you mentioned Richard Garage. Now, as many people know, probably, we did have Gorilla Garage as a sponsor for us.
Yeah.
So we got to partner with Richard. You know,
Yes.
maybe we can do like a collab. You know, have him come on the show, promote Gorilla Garage, do a whole.
Is it
that
pronounced
would be
Garage
wild.
though, or is it like Garage?
They just call him the Garage, to be honest with you, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
The biggest question marks surrounding him are whether he should be a tackle or a guard in the league. And that was like a reason why he went undrafted, because they didn't necessarily think that he had the athleticism to play tackle. But they're also not certain at him with the guard position either. So he had over like 40 starts or something like that with Florida. I mean, he had plenty of experience and whatnot, but absolutely a guy that has some experience coming into it. I think he's going to really, benefit from being in camp with the Bills. I think he honestly is probably going to be a practice squad guy if he makes it through waivers, which I think he will. I think he'll end up being a practice squad guy, like I said. But when you look at the tackle position, I am pretty high on Tommy Doyle. Now, I know he tore his ACL, but I think this is the make or break year for him. He's also a MAC guy, so near and dear to my heart, Miami, Ohio. So you got to hearts out to him for sure. In my opinion, I think the tackle situation, it's going to be Spencer Brown, David Questenberry. But here's where I'm going to kind of deter a little bit. David Questenberry is not just a tackle. He could play any position on the offensive line, minus maybe center. He can play guard or tackle, realistically. He has played both. So I think we keep him as a utility guy because he can play right tackle, he can play right guard, play left guard. They actually listed him as I think they just listed him as OL last year. So he kind of had to do it all. So I think the Bills actually do keep him. So I think you can kind of remove him from that tackle room and just put him in a separate category just because of that. So I'll say 4 tackles with David Questenberry. So what was I saying here? Spencer Brown. Yeah, obviously Deion Dawkins, Brandon Shell, and Tommy
I guess you
Doyle.
never know. He could be a surprise.
Yeah, right. And then you have David Questenberry on the side, who could be a utility guy.
Yeah.
As far as
It's really tough.
it is, dude, it's brutal. I'm looking at this roster right now. I mean, there's some guys on here. There are some guys.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it all really depends on what because there's a couple more position groups where they might keep more than they did last year.
Yeah,
and then it might change all of this, and then they might keep people like Bates and Questenberry who can play more than one position. Then someone like Doyle will get screwed out because he can only play one position. And then hey, he got a playoff touchdown. He played on a Torrey.
I got high hopes for Tommy Doyle, man. I am on the Tommy Doyle train. I think he makes a very strong case to be that number 4 tackle.
Yeah, I like him better than Brown, to be honest. If I'm being
honestly,
fair.
I mean, maybe there's a shot at the right tackle position for him to eventually,
I mean, let me just say this: the right tackle position is anybody's to grab. Honestly, Spencer Brown's job is 100% not safe, so we could see even him get cut. I mean, I'm not saying just because I'm hard on him. I'm just saying the only really position that's set is, I mean, technically Morris and Dawkins, but I guess you could say McGovern because we paid him. But as far as that, besides, I don't really count that, I guess. But right guard and right tackle aren't safe for anybody. I'd love to see Torrance out there, and not that I hate Bates, but I think Bates is his ceiling already. He's never going to be better than what he has been, and he's just a jack of all trades, master of none. And he's serviceable, but Torrance is just his ceiling is just out of this world. So you got to get him on the field, and I'm sure he can earn it. And then, like I said, right tackle, Brandon Shell's not that great. Brown, Doyle, Questenberry, they're all, they're not top tier tackles by any means. So, and even Alec Anderson, he could jump in there and maybe compete for it. But I'd love to see Doyle make this team. And like I said, right tackle is just going to be – that's a big battle. I think that's one of the biggest battles out there because it's our biggest question mark and one of the most important groups.
Yeah. And then as far as interior goes, just to wrap it up, guys, I know I was kind of long. I was long with my take on the tackles.
O-line's the best. O-line's the best one. So.
It is. We got to pay attention to the big boys up front. I mean, they're important, right? So Mitch Morse is going to be our center. Ryan Bates will be the guard, probably to start the season off. But I think we do keep him just because he can be the backup center as well to Mitch Morse. I do think Osiris Torrance eventually takes that position at right guard. Obviously, Connor McGovern, David Edwards, and that's probably it. I think interior-wise, we keep 5. Tackle-wise, we keep 4. And then we have David Questenberry as that other guy who's tackle guard.
Mike, I just want to say one more thing before we move on. Here's my thought. Bates is going to start week 1. By halftime, he'll be out of the game because Quentin Williams is just throwing around like a rag doll. Then Torrance is going to go in. Then it's going to be
I love it.
A lot smoother. And then it's going to be a close game at first. And then once Torrance goes in, the O-line starts working better as a unit. Then it's going to be all Buffalo. And then it'll be – because we're all going to be angry at first. We're going to be like, why the heck isn't Torrance starting? And then he's going to get thrown around. And then we'll be messaging you guys in the first quarter like, I'm about to turn this freaking game off. I hate this shit. And then all of a sudden, Torrance goes in at halftime. And it's going to be all good.
I could already see that playing out in my head. Like, I'm 100% on board with that.
It's 100% realistic for sure.
I mean, we probably should have talked about that is a battle, not to make the squad, but the starting position, right? Torrance and Bates. That's going to be an interesting battle. They're both going to make the 53-man roster, but who starts will be very interesting. And I believe it'll probably be Bates day 1, maybe a couple weeks, and then we'll see Torrance, unless what you just said plays out.
Well, it's a good week to do it because
Yeah.
you're going against the second best D tackle in the league. So.
I know, right? You really see.
And I do get what you guys said about David Edwards. I mean, he's a guard. He's been with the Rams. He was in the Super Bowl run. The Bills didn't pay it much. I mean, why would, if he's that good, he only brought in $1.7 million. I say that like that's nothing, but it kind of is for an offensive lineman, right? So there's probably, again, there's a little bit of a battle there, but if I give the edge, yeah, you're probably right. It's David Edwards.
David Edwards got absolutely bullied by us last year. I think he got hurt.
We messed him up pretty good. Ed Oliver and, I think, didn't he was playing tackle though, I think.
Yeah, he was.
If I remember right.
The Rams O-line was
I think maybe he was just
atrocious last year. Yeah.
All right. So my I say keep an eye on Mr. Garage, Richard Garage. And
I love it.
Otherwise it's gonna be Edwards. So good stuff there. We all have him at 9 offensive linemen.
I had 10.
You had him 10, huh?
So I had 4 well, I guess 5 tackles then if you count David Questenberry, but I said he's tackle guard. So 5 tackles, 5 interior guys.
Well, it's going to be interesting to count Jake's numbers to make sure he gets to 53.
So I am because I'm at 1 less running back than you guys.
Okay. All right.
That's there you go. That's a good point.
I will say that I watched one of the other shows, the one I mentioned to you earlier, and he had thought that there would be 10 offensive linemen. So you can never have too many offensive linemen, apps for sure. Well, let's move on to the edge rushers. I am breaking up the D-line. I didn't want to have just one. I wanted to break it up into edge rushers and tackles. So let's start with edge rushers, Jake. Last year, I believe, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We had 5 last year. So how many do you see them keeping? And who are those players?
My heart so badly wants to say 6, but I'm going to say 5. And that 6th guy I think is really on the bubble is Kingsley Jonathan. I think he is a really special player, and he's so damn close, man. I think what he showed was pretty impressive to me. I mean, just with the limited playing time that he's had, I think he's going to have a really good preseason. He's probably going to end up somewhere else. But in my opinion, it's going to be 5. It'll be Leonard Floyd, Greg Rousseau, Shaq Lawson, AJ Epinesa, Boogie Basham, and then Von Miller is not going to technically be on the active roster till probably week 2 or 3, in my opinion. So I guess you say 6 with Von Miller, but as of like when they actually set the roster, the active roster, it'll only be 5 at the time.
Interesting. I don't have. I mean, I see them having potentially 6 without Kingsley in the mix or in the conversation. To me, I have Von Miller, obviously. Whether he's week 1, week 3, whenever that is, I know if they do put him on IR, they can put him on a 4-week IR to start the season.
Right.
And they can extend that obviously. But I got Miller, Rousseau, Epinesa, Boogie Basham, Leonard Floyd, and then you got Shaq Lawson. But if we only keep 5, like we did last year, then one of these 3 has to go, and that's Epinesa, Basham, and Lawson. And I'm not saying I think Boogie would stay because Boogie has another year with us, but maybe one of these guys get traded. There's always that.
Absolutely.
We do know Epinesa is in his contract year, which is always a good thing. When people are in a contract year, they flip the switch and they have usually their best year ever because they need to get that big paycheck or want to.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't have Kingsley Jonathan in the mix here. I think he goes back to the practice squad again, but and I have them keeping 5, and I think it's again. There's one of the 3 have to go: Shaq, Boogie, or Epinesa. I think they keep Boogie obviously because he has another year on his contract, 23 and 2024. Epinesa could be traded, and then maybe Kingsley, but I don't know. Let's throw it to Sean for your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think, the Von Miller thing's going to shed more light as it gets closer, but we're just going to assume he's going to be on the IR for 4 weeks to start the year. So I agree with the same 5 Mike mentioned: Leonard Floyd, Lawson, Epinesa, Buggs, and Rousseau. I hate the thought that one of them will get traded. I mean, it makes sense, but like I've been saying it for a long time. Like we misuse Boogie, we misuse Cody Ford, we misuse Epinesa, and Epinesa did take a little bit of a step forward last year. He had 6 sacks. Then I think about it, when you look at the percentages that they all play, they don't play often a lot where they're gonna get huge sack numbers or like get in a rhythm and do much. So like getting 6 or 8 sacks for Groot and Epinesa, that's pretty good. But Boogie was bouncing around from tackle and defensive end, and he did a lot of good stuff that wasn't just sack numbers. He only had 3 sacks, I think, but there was a couple stunt plays that we dissected when we did film study where like he created sacks for Von Miller and Rousseau by getting where he had to go and creating space and being the enforcer. Again, I think Rousseau has a higher ceiling than Boogie because I think Boogie was more ready coming out of college. That's why they drafted him as their insurance for Rousseau, because Rousseau only played 1 year as a defensive end before he got drafted. He was a basketball player. So he played 1 year, had the COVID year, took the year off, and then got drafted. So they really probably drafted Boogie for just in case Rousseau wasn't good in the NFL. And it turned out that Rousseau produced better than Boogie in his first couple of years. But again, and then for a while, Boogie was getting inactive and wasn't getting actual game reps. So I think Mike's right. When Von comes back, they'll make a decision. Either they'll take one of the offensive linemen out or they'll take a running back out if they want to keep 6. But they'll shop around. I mean, if someone offers like a 7th round pick for AJ, I don't think they're going to do that. But if somebody offers like a 4th or a 5th, maybe they'll probably take that, I guess, knowing them. But it's another loaded room we got. And I like what Mike said. I like Kingsley Jonathan too a lot, Syracuse guy, and it'd be nice to see him on our team. But again, if he can shine in mini camp and in preseason,
he's got a future, man.
Yeah, he can go to a different team, and it stinks to let the guys go. But I'm happy for the guys that make it and become successful. And it's a tough room to fit in, but we're looking pretty good. I will say.
Jake, so did you say 5 or 6?
So I have 6 technically with Von Miller.
Okay. Yep. Well, let's just say this. Let's assume Von is back. I mean, are they keeping
Week
6
1
still? No,
I think so.
Just when they bring him back.
Yeah, because you look at it, Mike. If they do 5, they might cut Shaq because I don't think anybody's going to trade for him. Even though he did pretty well last year, I think he did pretty admirable. But if it's Boogie or AJ, you got to get something for him. You're not just going to.
Yeah, you got to trade him. There's no way you're just going to. Yeah.
So it's either going to be you're trading one of those 2 or you're cutting Shaq if they're only keep 5. But honestly, I think
I don't see that happening. I just don't.
It's tough because you got to look like they might take one less running back, keep 6 edge rushers, or keep 4 D tackles and 6 rushers, and but then, like I said, there's a couple other rooms that we're going to be talking about where I think we're going to take 1 or 2 extra than we did last year, and it might change things too. So I like the idea of 6. I just got a feeling it's going to be 5, with Von Miller, and then one of them is going to go, or they have to figure that out before the season starts. So if they plan on only keeping 5 the whole year, they'd have to trade one of the 2 or get rid of Shaq, even if Von Miller's not playing week 1. And then Kingsley Jonathan might make the team for a few weeks, and then he'll go back to the practice squad when Von comes back. So this is a tough one to crack as well.
Yeah.
How do you keep people healthy? Honestly, load up front on both sides of the ball. Load up on O-line to protect the quarterback. Load up on D-line to not let the corners and everyone else have to make any other plays. Plain and simple.
Yeah, I have them staying with what they had last year, 5, and I do think, obviously, if there was a trade, that changes things. But I do think Shaq Lawson is on the outside looking in. He's only a 452K dead cap hit. So, and again, Boogie's got 2 years with us. He got 2023 and 24. And Epinesa, I think, again, I would love to see him stay. I mean, I do think this is his year. I hate to see a guy go, get traded in his contract year and just go off. But
that's why I think we keep him.
That'll be yeah. But I think Kingsley will easily make it to the practice squad again. So that's another, safety net for me. I know you have big dreams of Kingsley, but hey, it's like Sean said, it's a tough room to crack here. So I have 5, you have 6. Keep track of the guys. Let's keep these numbers going, because you're now going to have to make a harder decision later on down the road, Jake.
I think I'm on pace with you, Mike. I think we're going the same numbers, I think, Mike. So whatever you're
I have 1 more than you guys right now. Yeah.
Yes, you do, sir. All right. Awesome. Let's move on to who did I have start with the edge rushers? I think I had Jake. So let's go to the D tackles. And again, those interior guys, the trenches that Sean loves so much. D tackles. Talk to us. How many are they keeping? Who are those players?
This is easy for me. I think, did they keep 4 last year?
They did.
All right. Well, my 4, Poona Ford, obviously. Ed Oliver, obviously. Daquan Jones, obviously. And then I want Jordan Phillips. I think he's a little bit older and he's been injured the last couple of years, but we've seen if he can stay healthy. I mean, can you imagine, if it's old Phillips again, 9.5 or 10 sack Phillips, and then you got Poona Ford actually playing D tackle instead of playing defensive end for the Seattle, and then so you got like Eli Anku, who was on the team for a bit, Tim Settle. Tim Settle didn't impress me last year at all, if I'm really being fair. I mean, he had a couple good plays, but when he was coming in, I was expecting a lot from him, and it wasn't really what I thought we were bringing on. So I'm fine with that. I mean, they got Shane Ray listed as a D tackle here, and I know
that is insane.
He weighs as much as I do, and I mean, he looks a lot better than me, obviously, but we're basically the same weight. But I mean, there's the possibilities of what you could do with who's on the field. Poona Ford, great in the run, great, enforcer. He's like that guy I've been wanting, like that short, stocky, plump, and huge guy that's gonna freaking just tear crap up. And then Jordan Phillips, and you can put him next to him. And then again, like I said, Ed Oliver. It's all depending on what the defense they're going to run. But those 4, you rotate those 4. And then with the guys we got on defensive end, I think it's going to be another great year for the defensive line. And it was going to be an awesome year last year, but then once Von got hurt, Ed Oliver got doubled down a lot, and he's too light to take on those double teams. But Poona Ford can take double teams and still do something, because he's a little bit heavier than Eddie, and he's shorter, so he's got the better center of gravity and can, get underneath them better. And then Ed Oliver can be one-on-one. And then once Von Miller gets back, if you double team if you double team Von, then you got Poona Ford and Ed Oliver one-on-one, and then Leonard Floyd on the other side or Rousseau on the other side. I mean, guys, it's gonna be a great defensive line again. But that's my 4.
Right, you got 4. All right.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with.
All right, Jake.
I'm gonna disagree. I'm gonna say 5 here, and the only difference is I'm gonna keep Tim Settle. So I think the Bills are going to give him another shot, and it's going to be a nice little rotation between Eddie Oliver, Tim Settle, and Jordan Phillips. And it's great. I'm so happy you mentioned Poona Ford. He's going to be a huge difference maker. We haven't had a guy that's able to replace DaQuan Jones. And having that ability now is just fantastic. So I think we keep 5 there.
Interesting. I do think we keep 4. I do see a battle between, I know you guys love Ford and Phillips and Tim Settle. Tim Settle, believe it or not, we paid the man a lot of money. If we were to release him, we got $5.1 million against the cap, but just giving away $5 million. And I know, Sean, you were very upset last year when we gave away $2 million to O.J. Howard. So keep that in mind. I do think it's a battle between Jordan Phillips, Tim Settle, and Poona Ford. And look, guys, if you go check PFF, which I always say I use as a tool, take it for what it's worth, none of those 3 really shined on PFF. None of them. None of the 3 had big numbers at all. And, Poona Ford's a $1.5 million signing, and Phillips is a 1.2. Settle's big money. Settle struggled last year. It wasn't definitely. He's the younger, though. He's the youngest of the 3. And I don't know if I don't think he got hurt, so he played injury-free. But I think it's a battle for, I think it's Oliver, I think it's Jones, and then there's 2 of these next 3 that are staying. Phillips, Settle, and Ford. 1 must go. Yeah. Don't know who that is. If I have to pick, goodness gracious, knowing the 5.1, that's a tough choice to decide on, right? Yeah. Gosh, if I had to pick, guys, I can't pick right now. So,
well, I'm going to say, Mike, this might help you a little bit. Yeah. Poona Ford did have way bigger offers from other teams, but he wanted to play in Buffalo because he wanted to win a championship. So when you look at the $1.5 million, don't really look at that for what it is, because he could have took way more money. And also, he was playing defensive end last year for Seattle because they're so jacked up. So a 315-pound guy playing defensive end and out of position, that might be why his PFF was kind of what it was for the last couple of years. He wasn't really utilized how he was supposed to be for the most part. He was shifting around a lot, and I think he's going to be good with our defense. You know how Jordan Phillips was good with us, and then he went to Arizona and he was terrible, and then he came back with us, and then the first game he had a sack and a half. So I think it's just, if you're a pretty solid D tackle, I think you can work in this. And I like Tim Settle. I just think, like you said, we paid him a lot of money, and it didn't really, we thought we were getting one of those dogs from the Commanders, all first-round picks from their defensive line. And, like I said, it's tough. Phillips might get cut just because he's older. You know what I mean, Mike? Because he had an injury history and he's older, so they might cut him and keep Settle, Poona Ford, Jones, and Oliver. And but definitely a battle for sure.
Yeah, good information there, Sean. I didn't know that. He was playing out of position. Poona Ford, that is. So if I had to pick one of those 3, my goodness, I hate to say it, it's probably going to be Phillips. I'm going to take the younger Settle, give him another shot. He's just a big dude.
Hopefully we can keep them all maybe, but.
Yeah, we'll see. So I'm sticking with 4, making that spot, whether, again, it comes down to Phillips or Settle, which one's going to be the one on the outside. I'm not making it, but Jake, you have 5, and I'm starting to wonder, are you going to have no special teams players?
Don't worry. Don't you worry.
We've already talked about special teams. I think Jake's just going to say, we don't need a punter. Let's have somebody else punt the ball. And Reed Ferguson, we'll just get someone else snapping the ball.
No, don't you dare do that to Reed.
That's not Jake's MO. So I'm curious where he's going to make up these roster spots. All right, let's get into it. This will be interesting. Let's see. Let me throw it to you, Jake, for linebackers. And by the way, does anyone in free agency still to bring in the camp that could compete for a spot? Did Blake miss our last show? I mean, he needs to check out the last show.
I know, Blakers. You got to get on it.
Too busy being a doctor now.
Shelby Blake. Harris, maybe. I know. You know who's actually available? He's a defensive end, though. Dwayne Smoot, and he's been a thorn in our side. He always plays super well against the Bills. Yeah, still available.
We didn't talk about him.
Matt Ioannidis, that's another guy. Good defensive tackle, play with the with Washington for a few years there. I think he was with Carolina last year.
I always liked him.
So yeah,
Blake, were you talking about a specific position group, Blake? Let us know. And good to see you. Yeah. It's always good to see you.
If you're talking D-line, those are the guys I got off the top of my head for that. But maybe in general.
All right, let's get into linebacker, Jake.
Yeah. Linebacker is a very tricky one, but I'll tell you this. I think our starting 2 are going to be Matt Milano and Dorian Williams, who I am super high on, as you guys know. So that's going to be our starting two. After that, what happens here? Do we keep Balin Spector? Do we not? You know how high I am on Balin Spector as well. I love the man to death. And it's going to be a battle. We have Terrell Bernard, we have Tyrell Dotson, we have Tyler Matakevich, who offers a special teams value. I think the Bills made a point to re-sign him. So I feel like we're definitely going to keep him.
You have to.
So I think those are three right there. Plus, as Mike pointed out, we don't have a ton of special teams guys per se on the roster. So I think we're going to keep Tyler Matakevich. Now it comes down to Terrell Bernard, Tyrell Dotson, and Balin Spector. And listen, and AJ Klein as well.
AJ Klein
Can't forget about AJ Klein. I almost forgot.
There. Yeah.
Bernard and Dotson.
You got
How
to
many
keep
did they
Terrell
keep
Bernard.
last year?
We kept 5, I believe.
Yeah.
And you got to remember
No. Hold on. Let me
Was
give
it
you the
5?
accurate number there. It was 6.
It was 6.
Well, because a lot of them play specials, so
Yeah, it was
Jake-
Spector,
but Jake's
Matakevich,
Tyrell
negative
Dotson and
Jake's
Dotson.
-2 right now, so he's got to.
I know. This is where I think
We
he was
gotta
going
make
to
up
try to
for it.
make things up, but he's got a tough decision then.
oh, this is brutal, guys. I'm gonna say we keep 5 here, and I'm gonna say Matt Milano, Dorian Williams, Terrell Bernard, Tyler Matakevich. Oh,
That means you're cutting Dotson.
this is brutal.
And many are saying that Dotson is the front runner.
I know. I think you have to keep him. Oh God, this is awful. You guys have put me in a total pretzel right now.
You did it to yourself. You
No matter how
got-
I
many
know I
times-
did.
No matter how many times we look at this beforehand, like you never can account for it once it starts.
I think you have to keep Tyrell Dotson. He's younger than AJ Klein. And listen, Balin Spector, I love him, but this is gonna hurt. I think you keep Tyrell Dotson over Balin Spector.
Dang.
Yeah,
So you're going to cut Spector?
yeah. Unfortunately,
Okay, so you're going with 5.
so we're gonna keep 5 there.
I'm sticking with the 6. I do not think we cut him. And of course, all the other ones you mentioned, Milano, Bernard, Dotson, Spector, Williams, and Matakevich.
Yeah.
Sean, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm with you, Mike, but I'm gonna say Balin Spector is gonna start next to Matt Milano.
Ooh.
Whoa. Okay.
Not just because Bean came. People said I don't know who told me that. It didn't. Nobody really said that, but I do remember, and I think you guys might have saw it too. But Bean basically said Williams is going to be a special teamer, and that's it. And I think we talked about it. Don't know if it was true, but we saw a sample of Balin Spector last year, and just a great tackler, just a linebacker. You know what I mean? Just when we always talk about what a linebacker is to us, Balin Spector is that guy for me, and I like Dorian Williams too. You know, we picked him a round too early. You know, would have liked to get him in the 4th round, but I can really see him being that tandem with Milano. And again, Bernard, I think that was a reach pick and good special teamer, hard hitter. Dotson, great in the run defense, terrible in coverage, and I think that's what it would. If it's 5 for like what Jake said, if they go with his route, they would look at that. You know, should we go with a person who's better in coverage because we got to play people like Mahomes and Burrow and Aaron Rodgers and this and that, or do we go with a run defender like Dotson who's slow and can't keep up with tight ends or running backs? So it'll be tough, but I think it's gonna, because I'm already on the same pace with Mike. I say 6 as well, and I like Balin Spector being that guy who could possibly start.
Freaking
Wow,
love that, Sean.
there you go.
Thanks for saying that.
Bold prediction, buddy.
Yep.
And, I got to say,
Someone had to
Balin-
say it.
If Balin's watching the show, he's going to be making a call to Jake because he said, Jake, all you said about me was good things last year. And and here you are cutting them already, buddy.
This
I'm
is
not
true.
sure.
What is it? What do they say? YouTube, Brutus? Yep.
Yeah. But yeah,
This
when you
is
look at
true
all the
moment.
rest of the guys, they're all special teamers too. So like Klein can play special teams. Williams is going to be special teams for sure. Matakevich is the captain. Dotson, Bernard. So if Spector doesn't start, he'll be a special teamer. So that's where most of the special teamers come from is
The
linebackers.
linebacker.
I
Yeah.
think it'll be no less than 5, no more than 6. So it'll be one of those two.
All right. Well, Jake's kind of stuck right now. He has to do that unless he
Yeah, I
wants
had to
go
make a
back,
move there.
Unless he
Yeah.
has to go back or one of these other position groups coming up. But we're running out of position groups for him to.
I'm not backtracking.
Yeah.
Nope.
So exactly. So let's get into the corners. This is going to be a fun one as well. And depending on where you have these guys playing, some, like Saran Neal. Some folks have him as a safety. Some have him as a corner. But last year they had 6 corners to start the season on the 53-man roster. And so I'll start this one with you, Sean. How many do you see them having at corner, and who are those players?
Ooh, this one is tough for me. Safeties and corners, that's where it's going to be real tough. But the starters, TJ, Trey, Kyer Elam needs to be a starter. So that's the 3 starters. And then you got Dane Jackson, Benford, and then as much as I don't like him, Saran Neal, because he's good at special teams. I don't ever want him on defense, but he's good at special teams. And then I'm sorry, Jake, Cameron Dantzler is probably going to be he'll be a practice squad guy, I think. But I think those will be the guys. But I think Benford will be that battle, and then maybe even Dane Jackson might be a surprise cut if one of those guys, if Dantzler or Jamarcus Ingram or Alex Austin could be better than what people are expecting. But I think that's going to be the 6.
Okay. I'm going to throw it to you, Jake, before I give you my opinion. I'm just going to give you a little information because we know you've been singing or praising Dantzler, the Dantzler pickup, all off season. You believe he's going to be making the active roster. I just want to give you a little information. I'm sure you know because you know everything. Obviously, he was released by the Vikings, and the Commanders picked him up. In OTAs, Jake, they released him. Didn't even let him get to training camp.
Yeah,
What the hell's going on, right?
Yeah,
so obviously, nothing's being said. If there's any, I mean, he's just I do know, I have heard that he doesn't like to play special teams. That could be a big reason. I'm not playing special teams for you. I'm that good. But there's something going on there, and whether it is him struggling with something, I know his teammate Jeff Gladney died the same season that he was drafted. I think they were both rookies that year in 2020. Maybe that affected him. I don't know, but something's going on, Jake. So keep that in mind. Another interesting fact that he registered a 4.64 at the combine, which was his speed. But then he made it up in this pro day where they didn't use the laser, and they say that he ran a 4.38. I don't believe that because that was just a manual, somebody on the clock saying go and stop. So 4.6 to 4.38, big difference there. But something's going on, Jake. I just wanted to give you that information before you start speaking on this particular group. So let me throw it to you.
Unfortunately, I think I have to be with you on this. And, it's a numbers game at the end of the day. So, maybe it is a practice squad spot. I think there is a chance. Now, we always say practice squad with the hope that they actually land on the practice squad because, again, remember, they have to clear waivers and there's 31 other teams out there that may have interest. So, with that being said, Mike, thank you for prefacing that. I do think he ends up on a practice squad. So he's still going to be with us, but not with us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just want to put a caveat out there. I'm going to say 5 here. And this is a little crazy because corner is one of those positions where you want to be stocked up at. Those 5, we named the starting 3, right? So Trey White, Kyer Elam, and Taron Johnson. The other 2, Christian Benford and Dane Jackson. Alex Austin, I think, has potential as well in the future. But in my opinion, probably another practice squad guy, hopefully.
You think Neal's going to get cut?
And I think Saran Neal is going to be a surprise cut. And I say surprise because he's a special teams guy.
Right.
There are other dudes on this team, such as Taylor Rapp, who we'll start talking about, that can come in and kind of solidify that nickel spot. If Taron Johnson goes down, he can kind of play all over the place. So,
Mike, I did want to mention first before I forget. I said 6, but there's something I need to say for the safety room that might change it. So it's
Sure,
potentially 5 or 6 for me, depending on how we figure it out for the safeties. We got to discuss it. But when Jake said 5, I was looking at it and I was like, there's something I needed to say for safety. So just so nobody gets confused.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
5, probably 5 for me, but I just wanted to.
Yeah.
So sorry to interrupt.
So were you done there, Jake?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm good.
So you're right. Because of where people have them, whether you think they're safety or a cornerback, between the corners and the safeties, I have 10 staying. And that right now I have five, maybe. It depends. So I'll wait till we talk safeties, but I don't know. Maybe I should throw this out there. So I agree. For corners, Trey White, Taron Johnson, Dane Jackson, Kyrie Elam, Christian Bamford. If we do keep a 6th person, and whether they go to the safeties or stay at the corners, I think 2 of these 3 that I'm going to mention have to go. And we've already said Dantzler, so I'm going to throw Dantzler out there. And I only had him in here because Jake was so high on him. But I think Dantzler is one of those cuts. And then it comes down to Saran Neal and Cam Lewis. One of them have to go. And I'm a fan of Cam. I know a lot of people may not be, but if I have to choose between him and Saran, I'm going to take Cam Lewis. That would be my 6th corner, but he plays safety now, right? They converted him. Last year he went to the safety room. So depending on where you want to have him, he could be over on that safety group right now. So anyhow, let's get into that right now. And I think you started with the corners, Sean. So again, I just let you guys know I have 10 total between these 2 groups. Could be 5 and 5, 6 and 4. Depends where you put these, what position groups you put them in. But Jake, your thoughts on safeties?
Yeah. Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, Taylor Rapp, shoo-ins. That 4th spot is very intriguing because, of course, DeMar Hamlin is going to play football again. But I don't foresee him playing week 1. I just don't think that's going to happen. So I know there's been some rumor circulating that he's going to start on the PUP list. So that wouldn't actually count towards an active roster spot.
True.
So with that being said, there is a chance to have a forward safety that's not named DeMar Hamlin. But if we're going off of that, because I know we sort of did the same thing for DNs with Von Miller.
Yeah.
If we're going to go with 4, I think they do keep DeMar Hamlin as that 4th guy.
You would have to keep 3, right, Jake, for you?
Yeah. 3. It would be 3, and then DeMar Hamlin would have to be on the PUP list. But actually, not in this case. No, I'm up to date with 4. Because coming into this, I was at 49 players. I got it on my calculator right now. So I did 4, actually. So if you want to count it with DeMar, it's 4 for the safety position. But if not, I think the guy that we're going to keep there could be Zane Anderson, which I wouldn't mind. I think he brings some experience to us. I mean, it's not a bad signing. Special teams guy as well, 6'2", 206, Mike. Not bad with the height and weight there.
Yeah.
There's a chance that he makes the team maybe as that forward safety. But I think they keep 3, but with DeMar on the PUP list to start, and probably 4 when DeMar's back.
All right. I know, Sean, you had something interesting to say, so I'll throw it to you next.
Well, Jake took it. That was a stipulation I was going to say with the DeMar thing. So I'm assuming he probably won't play right away just to be safe. I mean, I know he's practicing and working, but I think it's probably just smart to, maybe not come out right away. But yeah, obviously Hyde, Poyer, Taylor Rapp, I guess if you count DeMar, but that's the thing. So if DeMar is on the PUP list, then I would go 6 corners and then Rapp, and it's between, besides Poyer and Hyde, I guess you got to throw DeMarlo and Cam Lewis in a competition for that 4th spot if DeMar's not.
Just what Mike wants to hear, DeMarlo.
If DeMar's not going to be playing.
You should be hitchhiking right now for this next team.
Yeah, and then, Zane Anderson's good for a competition too, but that's where it's tough for me to answer because we don't know what DeMar's going to be. So it might be 6 with Saran Neal and then 4 safeties and DeMar's on the PUP list. And then they see what go. Maybe he won't play this year. Maybe he'll just be on the team practicing and then be monitored and see how it goes. We don't really. It's such a weird, not weird, but it's such a unique situation where you don't know how it's really going to go. So if DeMar is okay and DeMar plays, I know he got cleared, but if he actually suits up, I think it might be 5-5, and then if he doesn't, 6-4. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, so Trek Reviewer is kind of kicking me. Twice he's kicking me. First of all, he's saying Cam is gone. Then he's
not
telling
gone.
me, no, he's saying Cam is, because I said I'm a Cam fan. He says he's getting cut. He's getting the boot. And then he's saying that Marlo, come on, Marlo, please. My goodness.
You mean the guy we traded?
I'd probably have to agree with that. Yeah, this is a hand up moment for me. I kind of overlooked Dean Marlowe on that too. So I would say, talking experience wise within the system, he probably does make the most sense to keep, not Zane Anderson.
You know what's funny though? Remember when they said they traded the 7th round pick for him because he knows the system, and then they wouldn't play him because he didn't.
Yeah, right. He did get an interception though, crucial interception. Changed the game, man.
So guys, I have 5. So I'm going to split it up. I have 5 and 5. And again, it's Hyde, Poyer, Rapp, Hamlin. I do have Cam Lewis being that 5th guy. And I'm sticking with that. He's versatile. He can play both corner and safety. And Trek, if you're still mad about him not knocking that ball down against the Vikings, come on, man. It's one play. He actually was all over that guy. He'll learn from that. But otherwise,
it was Justin Jefferson too.
I mean, exactly. You're going against the best, the best wide receiver.
The best receiver in the league, yeah.
So I do think Saran Neal gets the boot this year. Unfortunately, he's been a good player. I know you love him, Jake, so that's got to be hard for you to hear.
Oh, it's brutal.
And I think Dantzler doesn't make it as well. So 5 and 5 corners, 5 corners, 5 safeties for me.
So we have to figure out, does that for the third quarterback, you said doesn't count as a roster spot, right?
Right.
Do we
at both quarterbacks
that today? Did we count that for our total today or no? Okay,
No.
good. I just wanted to make sure. Okay.
No. All right, guys.
We're one off then.
Yeah. So now we're good. That is it, guys. Believe it or not, hour and 22 minutes. A little quicker than we thought, or at least Sean thought.
That's pretty good.
That's an hour 15, so technically I was correct.
Yeah, good to see you out there, Trek Reviewer. I'm giving you a hard time only because, we differ on opinions with Marlo and Cam Lewis for sure. But hey, as we said to start the show, this is a very talented team. There's very few battles that are going to go on for starting position. I mean, for 53-man roster spots. There are maybe some battles about who will be starting. Obviously, too, I mean, you can go back to the corners. Everyone thinks Kyer Elam should be the starter, but Benford got the start last year. Has Benford beat him out again? Has he put pressure on him? I don't know. We'll see that. So there's some good battles as far as who gets this. Torrance versus Bates. Who's going to be that starter? Cam,
middle linebacker.
He's really get a job with the construction.
He's just jamming at you, man.
I don't know what Cam did to you, but you know what? Let's see.
Well, you guys think Jefferson's better than Devontae Adams?
All right, that's like 1A, 1B type
goodness.
stuff. I agree. Javonte Adams is unbelievable.
Well, you got to look at the quarterback thrown to him right now, though. So
Derek Carr and Jimmy Garoppolo now.
Yeah, Jimmy G.
Yeah.
Kirk, if you guys have not watched that quarterback documentary on Netflix, by the
out.
way, it's fantastic. It is so damn good. I'm on episode 3 now. Highly recommend it. It's awesome.
Nice.
It's just a thing that's going to lead Mahomes to another Super Bowl, and there's just going to be a big money sink for it. So I can't watch it. Just another thing for him to look at my journey to the Super Bowl, another Super Bowl, and why Mariota?
I know it is really random. I think they wanted a quarterback that would go through some adversity probably through the season.
He's like bench.
Obviously, it happened.
Yeah.
Really interesting career with him.
So, Trek, you have, I guess you have Saran Neal remaining on the team, beating out Cam. Is that what you're saying? Anyhow,
it sounds like.
Listen, we did great on time. Let's get out of here. We got wives and families to get back to. I know my family's, it's still early here on the West Coast, 7:30. A little late for you guys, but we do dinner late here sometimes around 7:30. So they're probably out there like, where's Dad? They always check. They always get on the show to see, is he still going or is he done? Because I closed the door to the office here.
It jumps a viewer and then it goes down.
Yeah. Anyway,
it's the kids when it happens like that.
Anyway, everyone have a great time. This was a fun show. Let us know in the comments if you agree or disagree with some of the picks that we made as far as the position groups. It's always fun to hear from you guys and girls. And we definitely have some ladies that are fans of the show, especially Sophia. We didn't see her tonight, but I'm sure she'll chime in from Hawaii. We got Jules Marie usually checks in. And heck, my grandma could beat out Cam. Oh, track reviewer.
All right, now you're just getting carried away.
Now you're just going.
He's a University of Buffalo guy. You got to root for him.
I don't know where Trek's been drinking or something's going on. I don't know what's happening right now. Heck, I don't even know. He looks like he's not even 18. I don't know if he's old enough to drink.
Not a Cam Lewis guy.
Dang, Mike.
Yeah, obviously.
He's got some great insight. I will say, actually, Trek Reviewer did leave a comment on our one video. He predicted the.
I think he already did it for this year as well. I think.
Yeah.
So I'll have to go back and look and see what he did.
Check that out. Yeah.
Yeah. So Trek, let us know. If you didn't, I think you did, Trek, right? You already put out your 53-man roster predictions. I think in our early video.
Inspector starting.
Yeah. Would be funny.
We got to go back and look at that. You know what? I will say we appreciate the heck out of you, man. You bring some great takes, very good knowledge of the game. It seems like you really know your stuff. You know your players, which is awesome. And we appreciate you too.
Hey, if his grandma can beat out Cam, we need to get grandma on the field.
Oh, for sure. Let's sign her up.
Let's sign her.
So I'm saying,
he's been watching the Bills since '88. Okay.
Nice.
So
he's 18.
He's definitely. I'm just saying, his picture looks very young. You look good in your picture, Trek Reviewer. So you got to put him what? If he remembers watching, usually you start watching football around 6-7 years old. So let's say, let's try to predict.
I say the womb, but
81. You say the womb. So it's 19. What is that? 42 puts him at somewhere around there. Yeah, by the way, last thing I'll say, guys, I think you all know this. I took my kid for a haircut. We're at Sports Clips. We walk in, and he was supposed to be next, but she had taken someone just before him. So we have to wait about 25 minutes. They're playing the Buffalo Bills, New York Giants, Super Bowl 2021. You know, the 1990 season, 1991. They're playing that Super Bowl. It's right there on the TV, on the big screen.
Wow.
And there's about 10 minutes to go in the fourth. And the Giants had just came down to take the lead. It was 2019 at that point. And then both teams exchanged possessions. Bills got the ball back with a chance to win. And then he saw the wide right. So he even asked me, he looks at me, Dad, are you going to be sad again? I go, it's been a long time, man.
Yes.
But this team, when I looked at that, dude, when you see those players that were on that team, Cornelius Bennett was killing it that game, was all over the place. He was a stud. You look at those guys, and you're like, how did they lose this game? You know, LT was playing for the Giants, and they kept him silent for the most part. It was a great moment. So anyhow, I've talked too much, but that was fun to see my little 10-year-old witness that, and now he knows. Now he knows what Dad went through.
Oh,
I gave him the replay. I could remember. I said we were hugging. There was about 5 of us adults. We were at his brother's aunt's house. We're all hugging each other as Scotty's about to kick that field goal. We got all the little kids. We're rubbing their head for luck. And then as soon as he kicks it, you know it's wide right. It's
champagne bottles ready to pop.
Oh,
and
dude.
Then you smash it over your head.
Man, all right.
I can't even imagine. Oh, gosh.
Dude, it was you got to watch that game. Seriously, go back and watch it. If you guys haven't watched it,
I have watched it.
It's a great game.
I don't like to add more sadness and misery to my life, so I'll stay away from. I'm glad I didn't have to
watch the condensed version, and
they have a condensed version, which is great on YouTube. And one thing I forgot to ask Andre is like, dude, you had like 7 or 8 catches in the first quarter. What did they do differently to shut you down? Because he didn't have another catch until that last quarter. Yeah. Why? You know, he had 7 or 8. He was killing it. So they changed something, obviously, at halftime. But anyhow, good stuff to watch. All right, let's go. Talk long enough. I'm sorry, guys.
No, I love it. We had to make the hour and a half mark.
I know. We got it. Go Bills.
Go Bills.